Welcome to Beyond the Books podcast. I'm your host, Susan Stotterell. Today, I'll be talking about the effects of multitasking and how it decreases attention span and its tremendous toll on literacy. Many people consider multitasking to be effective and desirable in work, parenting, and studying. It receives encouragement in almost all walks of life. We fall under the influence of just look at all we've accomplished and so much more. And as it turns out, not as much as people thought. Multitasking has a huge downside. Dr. Gloria Mark is a psychologist and the Chancellor's Professor of Informatics at the University of California, Irvine. In 2004, her team began timing how long it took for users to switch to another task on their computers. In 2003, the average attention span lasted 2.5 minutes. By 2012, it had shrunk to 75 minutes. And in 2023, it's down to 47 seconds on average. When people multitask, their blood pressure rises from stress. Because their attention span shortens, they make more errors and perform at slower rates. Other resources have found that digital device dependency can cause sleep problems, depressions, and sometimes suicidal thoughts. When children and adults do not get enough quality sleep, it affects their brain development and memory retention. Considering teens spend an average of 8.5 hours of screen time a day on multiple devices, that's a lot of potential for causing detrimental effects on learning and literacy. Johann Hari, writer and journalist, wrote a book entitled Stolen Focus: Why You Can't Pay Attention, which was published in 2022. It should be noted that in the past, Mr. Hari had some issues with plagiarism and misrepresentation. However, in Stolen Focus, he seems to atone for some of his past errors. He identifies 4 plausible causes of distraction. First is a phenomena he called speed switching and filtering. Our brains process much slower than digital devices. Stress enters the picture when the brain can't comprehend fast enough. Multitasking slows us down. Your awareness is not the same when you switch tasks. Tracing back to where you left off takes time and can be confusing. In the meantime, the brain must learn to filter out unimportant exterior interpreters amidst switching. In opposition to speed, switch, and filter observation, Hari identifies what he terms the flow state. This occurs when you completely focus and are conscious of the present moment. You allow thoughts and ideas to come, go, and mingle. When flow is lost, it causes a sense of emotional fragmentation instead of engagement and satisfaction. Interest in the sustained reading of printed works is plummeting. Hari found that between 2008 and 2016, the market for novels fell by 40%. In one year, 2011 to 2012, paperback fiction sales collapsed by 26%. I believe this is because readers are unable to concentrate for long periods of time and therefore can't easily read demanding books. A possible reason for the fall of print books is the method of reading. Printed books are read linearly, whereas reading on screen, we are more likely to scan and skip. We prioritize relevant information, disregarding what we perceive are extraneous details. It's easy to overlook the meaning of nuanced words. We lose patience because it's boring, when in fact it's not boring, but that we can't put all the parts together and miss the larger understanding, one that might be very rewarding. In contrast, using the go with the flow technique, we enter a state of contemplation. Letting our minds roam releases preconceived strictures on what we think and see. When our minds rest and float, we are more likely to mull over various ideas and actions. We solve problems, strategize, and generate new ideas. For writers like myself, plots, books, revisions, and even more. Now time for Susan's confession. I read mostly digital books and work on a computer for 8 or 10 hours most days, and find consequently that I cannot read for pleasure nearly as much as I used to because of my attention span. While it is true that I often work for hours in total concentration, there are many days where I do the multitasking thing. I pay for that in wasted time, losing my place, and getting stressed. Doing this podcast was eye-opening to me because I didn't realize that. My personal reading has fallen exponentially. I think I have only finished about 1 or 2 books in the last 6 months for pleasure. That's all for today, and I thank you for joining me. I'm Susan Stotterall, and I hope you will join me again on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, either on my website or YouTube.